It's now officially Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II. 10% of the population has now fled the country as the scale of this disaster continues to grow by the second.
As of 27th of March, 1,119 people have died, including 99 innocent children. We know these numbers are conservative and the tolls are far greater. Cities like Mariupol, Kharkiv, Chernihiv, and many others, bustling and full of life just 1 month ago, are encircled, bombarded, and blockaded. People in these towns lack food, water, medicine, electricity, and heating. They are trapped, desperate, afraid. In some neighborhoods, it's not even safe to bury the dead.
The head of the World Food Programme calling the broader implications of this war a crisis on top of a crisis, with the food agency already balancing the needs of over 100 million people, even before Ukraine was added to its plate.
Ukraine and Russia produce 30% of the global supply for wheat, 20% of the global supply of maize, corn, 75 to 80% of sunflower seed oil. So you can begin to see the dynamic consequences. 50% of the grain that we buy comes from Ukraine. We feed 125 million people before Ukraine ever happened. And so you can only assume the devastation that this is going to have on our operations alone. Already, we are anticipating a $71 million increase in monthly expenses because of fuel costs, food costs, and shipping costs.
With implications for people already caught up in conflict zones around the world, from Afghanistan to the Sahel to the Horn of Africa, with calls on the G7 and the global agricultural community to offset the reductions expected from both Russia and Ukraine.
Because you can imagine, the farmers are on the front lines fighting, and it's planting season for corn, maize right now for the next 4 weeks. Well, who's going to be tending the crops? Then you got harvest season for, let's say, wheat coming up in June, July. Well, if the farmers are on the front lines, you can see we're concerned not just about what happens inside Ukraine, but also what's going to be happening outside Ukraine. Obviously, we're appealing to everyone involved to deconflict, give us the access we need. Most of the places around in Ukraine we can reach in a lot of different ways right now, but places like Mariupol we can't.
The UN also announcing that its humanitarian chief, Martin Griffiths, could head to the region within days. The global organization, along with its humanitarian partners, now in agreement that the worst-case scenario has been reached in some areas in Ukraine, while in others it has been surpassed. Again highlighting the global implications of this war, with rising food, fuel and fertilizer prices that will impact already vulnerable countries the most. Griffiths has been tasked with engaging the parties on possible arrangements for a humanitarian ceasefire, with hopes here that he will be welcomed in both Kyiv and Moscow in the days ahead. Sherwin Briceby's SABC News, New York.